Hello. Oh, wow. I have actually started my podcast. Hello, everyone. My name is Nkemengti, and welcome to the very first episode of my podcast, The Adult Child. I decided to call this podcast The Adult Child because when I was 20, I had this idea that I wanted to create a space to make an evolution or to make an evolution of me growing from a child to an adult and transitioning between school to society. I think I was 2021 between those times, just like graduating medical school and just becoming part of society. I wanted to make that a video diaries to document my life. A lot has been happening visually in my life, but I think I would rather just sit down and talk about it. Let everyone into the gossip of just how much life changes or how life has evolved for me. So that is just the definition of my journey as the adult child. So what is it about being an adult and what is it about growing up? What is it about growing up that also adds up to your journey as an adult, and what is it about becoming an adult? This is just the idea of what the adult child is about. I've also grown so much to learn from others, and I want to reciprocate that by also letting my words out and telling everyone, hi, this is what I've learned about life. And I just really needed an outlet to let a lot of my thoughts flow because I think too much. Sometimes that's the easiest way to say I think too much. I need to have a creative outlet to just let my thoughts flow. As much as this is an introduction, let's dive into a very, very interesting topic that I wanted to start this podcast with, which was relationships. I haven't dated as much. I am 23 now. I'm turning 24 this year because it's the year 2024. And with 2000 babies, we're growing old. But I got into my first relationship at 22. And the entire time, from being very young, being a teenager, and then finally getting into my very first adult relationship, I have always stayed away from relationships because I grew up in a very dysfunctional environment where I didn't see the best of relationships. I had this image in my head that I always saw love turn into hate. The idea was that as my parents had separated, I did watch my mom in relationships, and a lot of the times I saw people love on her so much, but then at the same time, I saw the conflict that came with those relationships, and it made me question a lot of relationships. When my mom stepped out of a lot of this tragic relationship, and one of it that changed our life a lot, she said, "Whatever you want, call me. I will give it to you. Whatever you need, call me. Do not rely on a man for anything." I think she didn't need to teach me that, but I learned just watching her life. But she re-emphasized this idea that that there was nothing a man could do for me. And I believed it for a very long time, and I think she was right. I just really wanted to focus on myself and give myself the best kind of life that I wanted. So I was just like, what would a man really do for me? So I never really centered relationships, and especially romantic relationships. I had a lot of friendships. I think my friendships helped me grow a lot. I think I learned the most from relationships from my friendships. I grew from being someone who said, "Oh, I didn't need people," to being around the most comfortable and important type of community. So my friendships built a lot of my character. I met people who were so interesting, and it pushed the desire in me to also be someone who was interesting in my own way, not in a way where I'm emulating their character. So I have grown a lot. I also met people whose confidence speaks so well of them, and I'm like, this is why I should learn to be confident in my own self. So I think I've learned a lot relating with people, and especially being in an international environment. You're not just learning about the things where you're culturally told to be or this certain way. I learned a lot because everyone was set up in a way that was so different, and I was like, wow, this is so nice. So I think my friendships helped me grow to the person that I am. I think I'm so solid in who I am today because of the type of people that I've been able to meet. And that brings me to romantic relationships. I always thought to myself, like, I never want to start something that I don't want to finish. So I never really pursued relationships. Like, I met someone during that summer, and that person was really interesting, and I connected with this guy so much. And I was like, wow, men are actually really interesting. And I was like, oh, wow, I never saw men in this way. I never saw men to be this interesting. So for the first time, I kind of opened my eyes up, and I actually liked someone. I felt like I liked someone. I had a crush, and I was like, wow, this is interesting. I want to do this. Because also, I think the entire time of being single, I was really like, what am I looking for? What makes the best of a relationship? What makes it fulfilling? How do I stay away from things that are very conflicting? And conflicting sometimes is not just like conflict, it's also conflicting in a way where it's like someone doesn't align with your values, someone is the opposite of what you want. I just really wanted to state my standards, like set it. It wasn't like setting my standards, it was just knowing what to look out for in a person. And I'm really happy that I did that before ever indulging myself in like opening myself up to like dating people. So one of the things that I've always wondered is, why do good people end up with bad people? Why is it that at most time I've seen my mom be a good person? Why is it that she found herself in those relationships? Why couldn't she see past those things that those people were? But guess what? But I came to realize after being in mine that damn, you actually sometimes do not know what people are up to. And the funny thing is that because I've experienced people be very pleasant at the beginning, it always made me question them even more at the beginning to get to the surface of knowing what type of person they are. But as much as I questioned this relationship that I got into before even getting into it and feeling like, oh, this person is honest, is this, is that, oh, he's kind, he's gentle, you don't know what's going to hit you. Like, you never really know someone until you've spent enough time with them to get to the point where you're like, oh, is this for me or is it not for me? So I felt like it was always just a thing of, let me prevent whatever gonna come or what's gonna happen that it's bad. I realized that regardless of how much you observe and you question, you're never going to know the full story unless you leave it. And that was my own story. And after leaving it, I think I've come on the other side, and you kind of learn a lot from it. So the question of, why do good people end up with bad people? One, because we feel connected to people. They say, tell me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. So sometimes I'm looking around at my friends and I share similar values with them. We can connect in so many levels. But there are ways that my friends will react and the ways that my friends would be that I would not. There are just certain things that my friends are that I'm not. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not a friend to my friends. Because why am I a friend to my friends? Because we definitely have a common ground. We have things we can connect on. What sometimes we look for in relationship is that connection. It's the connection before we say, oh, this person, he has the exact same values as me. I don't think in this world you ever really see someone who has the exact same values that you're so comfortable to be with. It's just first always the connection. Oh, I do feel a vibe with this person. I like the way we talked about chickens yesterday. I feel like that gets us to a place to be super comfortable with people. And as much as they might not share the same values, they might be a little bit different from us, if we can find that common ground, that connection to look into one's eyes and then see each other and feel each other's vibe, that gets you to the point to say, I want to be with this person. And when you say, I want to be with this person, you sometimes will overlook or downplay certain characteristics that you might not be comfortable with. And then there is also this reasoning that, as much as this person likes me, because they like me, that must be that they value me. So even if they are bad or they do things that I don't really like, they will not do it to me because they know me. And I also realized that as much as you connect with someone and what the getting to know stage and you talk about yourself a lot, the value that you have for yourself is not the value another person sees in you, except they are so intelligent. You've lived a whole life, and there is so much value in the story or your journey that you place yourself on a pedestal where you're like, this is the type of person that I am, and definitely I'm gonna get the person that is what type of value that I have. But people don't see that. People also come to you based off of what you express to them is who they start trying to tally the type of person you are, to get to a point where they're like, oh, I see something between us. So value only increases by the time you spend with that person or ends up decreasing. So someone is mostly gonna value you because of the memories that you've made. And is it pleasant to a certain degree? Is it so fun? Oh my gosh, she's such a fun person. She's such an intellectual person. And then it just keeps growing and growing. Oh my gosh, she's such a strong person. She's such a caring person. That's when your value actually increases for that person based off of the experience that they have with you. It doesn't just go off of just like seeing you. And I think that's always the mistake of thinking, oh, people just need to value me the moment that they see you. And I think the only thing is that they were gonna like you at first. But then at the same time, that liking sometimes translates in our head as value, or they value me, or you expect that value that you have for yourself to translate through the person that you have a romantic connection with. Sometimes people do not see your value because maybe they're not asking the right questions to get you to the point where you express, or they are not putting you in scenarios where you can be your best self. So they end up not ever cherishing the person that you are. They end up just treating you as simply as maybe they treat themselves. You end up wanting more but not getting it out of this person. And that is sometimes why it's so unfulfilling sometimes to be in a relationship and just be like, oh yeah, I'm so amazing. Why am I not feeling it from this person? And that's where it gets me to setting your standards. I think from my own experience, I've gotten to really know the type of people that I vibe with. I think one of the easiest way to say what do you want in a person, I'll tell you I want someone who is kind, because I am kind. I'm a really kind person. God, that sounds so bad when I say it that when I'm a really kind person. I do believe that my kindness is one of the things that I really like about myself, but I don't think, yeah, I put it in the forefront of like the qualities that I have. But I think it's something that I do want in a partner, because I do know where kindness takes you. I think there is a sweetness about kindness that just opens your heart. And it's not just about kindness, is not niceness. Kindness is kindness. And kindness is something that cannot be hidden, right? Like it's not something you can fabricate. Because I've met a lot of unkind people. So I I think if someone is nice to you, they can be nice to you because they want something from you. But then kindness is almost like an, how do I explain this? Is almost like something that flows along with someone, the way they treat everyone. Like I remember going on a date with someone and he spoke to the he spoke to the waitress in a way that I did not like. Like so at he complained about his food, and then the waitress changed it. Like some people don't like sunny side egg. He didn't like that, so he complained about it. I didn't think he put it in the best way. I think you can ask for things to be changed, or like, oh, I do not like this, can you help? But he said it in a way that I was like, this man is a diva. That was all I was thinking about in my head, and I'm very happy that I actually expressed that, because I just didn't sit and let it like go away. I didn't necessarily say that, oh yeah, you are like not talking to the waitress in the right sense. But do you know what happened? Because of the way it was, I think like maybe the staff of the restaurant ended up like maybe going to talk to each other in the kitchen or something. So the person who came to ask for like the payment of the our dishes, the person who brought the receipt passed him and came to me. I was like, "Oh, we're about to close. Can you help pay for the this thing?" This guy, I think he was a teenager, I think so, but he was so scared. If you guys know Chinese people who are very introverted or very shy, they're always super shy. And this guy was so shy. And he passed him and came to me. And guess what? I didn't understand the Chinese that that guy was speaking. So it ended up being that my date actually understood what the person was saying. And then he was now like, why would you pass the guy to come and give the receipt to the lady? Why did you pass me? And he made a deal about it. And I was just like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. That is that is a description of someone who hasn't treated someone right in front of you, or it's not about treating someone right. Like, let me take that back. It's just that's the way they handle their business. You get with me, right? That's the way they handle their business. Because as I didn't take it personal, because I think this actually drove us to a conversation where he said that if he had a restaurant, there are certain standards that he would have, and he would treat his guests, um, he would treat his customers, and that he would expect the same level. And that's why he was requesting for it. That's who he is. And I saw it and I was like, wow, that is very assertive, that is very direct. But do I want that same energy on me when I'm not doing something right? No, absolutely not. So when I see those type of behaviors, and I'm just like, if it's directed towards me, I would not be comfortable with it. So that just pushes me away. That just makes me go, okay, take a step back. Take a step back. This is not for you. Go on and on and on about every other thing that I want, but it's very mental. I don't think I've ever made a list about the type of person that I want, but I think I love just sitting back and observing people and knowing what someone is based off of their action, and then being like, how does that make me feel? How does how does my interaction with this person or how they are make me feel? And that's where I go off and I make my decisions. I think I ask more questions than I'm asked. And it almost devalues my experience when I say, oh, men don't really ask questions, because I do ask like the direct kind of questions, the right kind of questions. I think the kind of questions that get thrown at me are always just like, oh, what's up? So, what are you up to? What's your life about? It's very general. I don't know how to answer those questions. I ask very specific questions. You could tell me a story, and then I'm gonna ask you. I could ask the questions that follow up and build up the story even more and more and more. So I feel like it never makes me nervous because I know exactly what I want in a person, and it's not based off of a list. It's just, how do I feel? And it's not more about, does he like me? And it's more about, do I like him? Those are like the things that I think about. And you ask the questions, you observe, you put yourself in an environment where you guys can be fun and interactive. And relationships are not just about seriousness and seriousness and seriousness, as much as I'm very serious. It's also fun. Like, don't drive the fun out of it too. You gotta know if you can be free with this person. So that's just about it. Setting that standard. But then here comes the strike. You get into a relationship with someone, you're like, oh, I've got the right partner because he matches all my standards. There's the relationship part. There's the relationship part, and I feel like this is the one we're experiencing. I was like, damn, I didn't know it all. I'm learning. I'm very new. You find someone, you like them, things are going really well. They match you in so many different degrees. But the idea is not that they are perfect. They're a human being and you're getting to experience them. The good thing is that the good outweighs the bad. And we are not perfect. And the idea is not to strive for perfection or try to make someone perfect. And that's where communication comes in, where you communicate a lot of the things that are very different about you guys. But then people devalue the fact that you're with them, and they do not make the effort to date you anymore, or they just do not know what they want in a relationship. When you've tried with something and you've given it its best shot, do not stay in that environment to constantly nurture it. In the worst, it's just gonna get bad. And it's not gonna make you feel better to be kinder to someone because you feel like they're struggling and they need your love, it hurts you more to stick around and say, let me see what more we can do with what we have. Let me keep building this. We will get to the point where it's gonna be better. No, do all of that because you see it right to do so, because you have a relationship with this person and you're deciding to do so. Don't ever do anything with the idea that it's gonna make the situation better. And one of the things that I learned in that was to recognize people in where they are. I think you can influence someone's journey, right? But you shouldn't impose it on them. You shouldn't impose it on a person to change what you do not like about them. You might have to actually acknowledge the fact that whatever this person is, or in what time you met this person, they've been surviving being this person. So what gives you the right to come into their life and tell them that they have to change, that what you're telling them to change into is so much better than who they've always been? So it's to let it go, see people or see things for what they are in the moment, and then stand from a distance and say, I think you can make this work, but you have to go on this journey on your own and get to the point where you are able, or you've made your own self reflections, instead of me just sitting down and being a mirror to you and reflecting back your behaviors and just telling you to get to the point where you can be better. It would be amazing if you do it on your own, and that would become so much more, like, it will strengthen you to value things when you see them. Because instead of someone else, when you are in someone's ear all the time, just trying to tell them to get better and be better, they do not know. You are like medicine that they don't know that they're living off of. So when it's not there and people have to go through that journey on their own, I think that's when they realize the importance of what maybe you were trying to tell them. And that's why I think sometimes, like, we recognize the bad in people, or we recognize the downside of people's personalities that might be influencing our own well-being, but because there is maybe a connection, there is maybe like an attraction, or there is memory shared, and then there is that attachment or the care that we have for someone to not want to give up on them, we hold on to it. We do not ground ourselves in the reality of the way this person is treating you, to just be like, I need to let this go, or I do not have the strength to sacrifice myself for your own well being, or for you to get to a point where I think is good? Or is it my own insanity for thinking that the person I want you to become is better than the person you think that you are? And when you kind of reevaluate all those things, it does ground you in the reality of who someone is to you. And that's when you kind of recognize that kindness is not all that it is set out to be. You do have to set those standards on the way you want to live your life. You have to be assertive. When you are kind, be assertive too. Know how to word the things that you want to say, the things that mean so much to you, to let people know that, oh, in the way that you are towards me is not the way that I am comfortable or happy with. One of the things that I wrote down was that love can grow anywhere if you let it. Just like a plant can grow from a rock and in dirt, recognize people's pattern that you don't like and see if you can tolerate that. So much of our life outcome is compounded by choices, and since knowing that, I've always wanted to make the right choice, right? And when life is filled with so many gray areas, what exactly is right? I've seen life in so many perspectives, and what I've always come to learn about it, as much as we can be victims of situations, we also have to know in what way we are causing ourselves pain. And the reason why I really wanted to talk about this was, I don't want to get into too many bad relationships. I don't want to feel like I've sat through life learning so much and still not making the right choices. I see it so often. People say, I'm so good with people, I'm amazing, I'm this. Wow, why do I keep just getting into the wrong relationships? Why do I keep just meeting the wrong guys? Why is it the type of people that I have time for? If it's not a hell yes, say no. You know, like, you really have to find the containment within yourself to not try to navigate or get in between things that are just not on your frequency, that are just not on what you told yourself. You don't want to do it again. You don't want to be in this position anymore. You don't want to be making the wrong choices. You don't want to keep repeating the same pattern. I think it was so important for me to be able to recognize this, because I feel like if I wasn't able to recognize this very early on, I would have kept repeating that, the idea of just there is potential. Let's see where it goes. So that was a very lovely episode. I rambled and rambled and rambled upon a lot of things that I feel like I know, and sometimes I feel like I don't know it all. But these are some of the ideas that I do have about why we end up with the wrong people. Dear brothers and sisters, my name is Nkementi. This is the first episode of the Adult Child Podcast. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and interact in every way you can. And this is a journey that I hope you can stick with me. I hope you've not seen the downside of the person that I am, to just be like, no. But if you have, it's okay. I understand. I already told you to set your standard and set your boundaries. So there you have it. See you next time, same time. Bye for now.